Arizona basketball collapses against Oregon, and we start to look ahead towards the NCAA tournament where everything will really matter.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Arizona basketball loses to Oregon, and let's be honest here, it was a very frustrating performance for the Arizona Wildcats, and let's be honest, for their fan base. First, Arizona got off to a big lead, buoyed in part by N'Faly Dante being out. But I think a bigger concern was that Arizona had scored 3 field goals in about a 15-minute time period. That is just not going to get it done for a variety of reasons. First, Oregon, like we said, Oregon's good. I'm just getting back from Vegas. Obviously, Oregon is a good basketball team. They probably underperformed for this entire regular season. I know they had some injuries, but this is a good basketball team. They should have been taken seriously, and I don't know that they were really taken seriously. All right, now, with the offense. When the offense stalls, this is where Tommy Lloyd has got to figure something out, because all too often it does feel like, well, we know the shots aren't falling from deep, then we don't really know what to do. And that, I think, has been a problem for this Arizona Wildcats team pretty much all season. But we got to get into a little bit of the situation there with the guard play, accountability, and everything. Obviously, everybody has seen the photos of Boswell out and about. Listen, at this stage in the game, if a player's doing something they shouldn't be doing, you got to bench them, period. You can support the player, you can do whatever you want, but you've got to bench the player. Listen. We're here to win games now, and listen, there's one thing if a player's not playing well and you got to bench him. There's another thing if he's out doing things that he shouldn't be doing. Lute Olson was very famous for, if you're not in by curfew, you are going to not start the next game. If you steal donuts, you might not start the next game. All kinds of different things. The same thing, listen. Not a huge Sean Miller fan, but that kind of stuff doesn't happen with Sean Miller. Boswell, quite frankly, has been awful all season. He's had a couple good games here or there, but overall, he has not been good for the team. Enjoys the college life, which is totally cool. I get it. Everybody does. They enjoy the college life from time to time. That's not a problem. But you've got to be focused right now in the NCAA or with the Pac-12 tournament and postseason here, and if you do things you shouldn't be doing, then you should probably be reprimanded beyond just we are going to support Kylan. Now, and again, with Arizona, I think a big part of this also is that what exactly is going on now? What exactly is going on big picture in the backcourt? Because if you watch the Arizona-Oregon games, there were bad vibes. There were bad vibes. There were a couple times that Sheer and I both noted this where, Boswell tried to, shake Pella's hand, and Pella was just kind of whatever, man. And same with Caleb Love. We're going to get to Caleb Love in a second because he's not playing well. But like I said, there has to be some accountability with this team. And it starts, even if a player's struggling and you've got, like I said, you've got another option in Jaden Bradley, you've got to be able to start him. You got to be able to put him out there on the court. And again, Boswell was just terrible on top of that. Now let's talk about Caleb Love. I get a lot of people that say to me, Mike, why aren't you giving the same kind of grief to Caleb Love that you do to Kylan Boswell? Because that's very easy to say. First of all, we're going to say that Caleb Love has been terrible these last 3 games. There's no other way around it. Caleb Love has been absolutely awful. The shooting has not been there. He's been taking quick shots. He's been doing a lot of things that just do not look good. But he has also been somebody that I've never doubted where his head has been at this entire season. If he's actually been trying hard, and if he's been putting in, if he's been taking care of himself outside of the arena. And I have no reason to doubt any of that. He didn't play well. There's no doubt about it. But overall through the season, you're going to take Caleb Love. You're going to ride with Caleb Love because of what Caleb Love has been able to do for you. I know a lot of people were like, well, should he have come back in during the Oregon game? I mean, that's a fair question. Listen, I know that a lot of times you're going to ride with the person that got you there. I totally get that. But there also is going to be a point where you also got to give some of those players that got you back in there a chance. I'm generally okay with giving the players that got you back into the game a chance. I like seeing that, and that is something that I probably would have done. But I also understand Tommy Lloyd putting Caleb Love back in there because Caleb Love is a player that like I said, you're going to go as far as you can go with Caleb Love. That's just the way it is. So I get that aspect, but he's got to get going. Now, in the past in the NCAA, excuse me, in the NCAA tournament, he's played some really, really good basketball. He's been a difference maker for the Wildcats. And not only has he been a difference maker for the Wildcats, for North Carolina Tar Heels, I expect him to be a difference maker as well. Now, I know that some people are like, well, you can't really just, flip the switch. I get all that, but I think he just didn't play well. That's really what I think it came down to. I just don't think that he played well, but I got a lot of confidence in the young man going into the NCAA tournament, and I think he's going to play very well. Some of the other players, Pella didn't play well. Pella Larson is a good basketball player. He's definitely better than I ever thought he was going to be. My bad, Pella Larson. But I also don't see him as an NBA player. Any kind of length, very much he struggles with. I don't see the ball handling necessarily there, as we've been over a million times. He's a really good player. Don't think that he's a star. And I don't think he's really ever a star at the college level. But overall, though, Arizona should have just played better. KJ Lewis, Jaden Bradley, they got to play more. When they come into the game, things just change. Anybody can see it. I can see it. You can see it. And they got to play more. That's really the only way that I can really go about this, is that they've got to play more, especially if Kylan, and there's got to be a quick hook. We're at the NCAA tournament. We're going to start breaking that down here in a second, but there has got to be a quick hook with players that are not playing well. And a big part of that too is obviously we're going back to Boswell. And again, I hate to keep picking on the kid, but that's the leader. That's the point guard. And when he isn't playing well, it just matriculates down everywhere. And then I think at some point you start wondering about what kind of accountability is there really in place. And Kylan Boswell has to play better. That's just the only way there is to it. And because you've got a very good alternative in Jaden Bradley. Now, what does this all mean for the NCAA tournament? We're going to get to that next. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's get to the rest of this. The U of A and the NCAA tournament. Honestly, I know that I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but nobody is going to care about this loss or the USC loss or any of the other losses if Arizona goes far in March. That's what Tommy Lloyd is going to be judged on. Tommy Lloyd is going to be judged on how this team does during March Madness. And honestly, that is how Tommy Lloyd should be judged. He should be judged on how this team goes. During the regular season, you've already shown you're the winningest coach in college basketball through 3 seasons. You've already shown that. You already know exactly what you already know that this guy can win a lot of games. He can recruit a lot of players. That goes without saying. The next step, though, is what are you, but in the NCAA tournament, this team's been terrible. The last 2 years, they've been awful. Against Wright State, Arizona did not look good. I think you were, up 3 or tied at the half in Wright State, a 1 versus 16. Then against TCU, let's be honest here, Arizona should have lost that game, but they didn't. Either way, a win is a win. Then you got absolutely manhandled by the Houston Cougars. And I think that's putting it mildly. You got absolutely manhandled by them. And then last year against Princeton, I don't put as much blame on that game as I should, because I think that was a game where Arizona, I thought Arizona outperformed where they should have been pretty much all season. So I give them a little bit of a pass there. Because Princeton, again, you shouldn't lose to Princeton, but as you lose to Bellis in a big spot, was never going to embrace that moment. Kirk Kriisa, we know what Kirk Kriisa was. And you just had a lot of guys who that aren't really built necessarily for that moment. And that was a problem. Umar Ballo, leader of men, was hurt as well. So I don't put as much. But either way, you got 4 NCAA tournament games where you haven't looked good in any of them. That's a problem. And not only is that a problem, that is something that you have to keep a very close eye on. But new year, new team. This team should be better equipped than all of those teams. Now, listen, the point guard spot is obviously a major, major concern because Boswell has been bad. Not only has Boswell been bad, he's also, it is what it is. Then you've got Caleb Love not playing great ball, but I have a lot of faith in Caleb Love at come NCAA tournament time. I think he's been a player that has proven in the past that he can step his game up. I think he's going to be fine. I look for Caleb Love to be very good. And I also kind of like that he's got that mentality that it's that next shot is falling in. Not only is that next shot falling in, that he is, I think he's got that one down. Now, and again, some of the other players, Umar Ballo, I think is far better equipped, obviously, than he was last year with the broken hand to be able to dominate. And I think they got to be able to make a concerted effort to give Umar Ballo the ball time in and time out. Keep feeding the young man. Let the young man eat. Listen, the free throws are always going to be a little bit of a concern, but he can finish around the hoop. He's strong. He can block shots. Umar, I think, is going to have a nice NCAA tournament. And then Keyshawn Johnson, he's been here before. This is where Keyshawn Johnson's going to make his money. Again, he's shown that he can shoot the three a little bit. And not only has he shown that he can shoot the three a little bit, he's also shown that he can get, that he can make a few plays off the bounce now and then, which I didn't really see happening. But again, he's got to be a difference maker in each game. This is his last ride. All those other guys can come back. I don't think they're going to come back, but all of those other guys can come back. And then, so there's that. Then, Paulo Larson got to play better. I mean, he hasn't been very good in March. We know that, but he's as a third option, he should be more than okay. But I think a lot of this, though, is going to depend, too, on Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis. I think they're built for moments like this. And not only do I think they're built for moments like this, I think both these young men kind of just embrace that, that eventuality that they have to be able to put the ball in the basket, and they're going to be relied on for that strength and some of that composure coming off the bench that some of the starters honestly just haven't had this season. So I think that's going to be their big matchup. Now, again, we're going to be back tomorrow breaking down the bracket. But like I said, I'm far more about Arizona, what Arizona is going to bring. Where are they going to be at mentally? I care about the matchups, but I also don't care about the matchups because Arizona should be at the stage where they can take care of business against any of these teams, and not only take care of business, but you should be able to beat a good percentage of these teams just because you are better than them. But it doesn't matter because in the NCAA tournament, if you don't bring it, then you're going to have a problem. I think Arizona, like I said, maybe I'm just being naive, but I think that Arizona is going to be more than equipped for this moment. I look for Arizona to actually perform very well in this NCAA tournament. And again, could come back and you could say, Mike, you're an idiot. They're not. And you could be right on that one as well. But again, it was a very frustrating performance against Oregon. And then some of the stuff going on behind the scenes obviously was less than ideal as well. But this is a new season. Like I said, this is where Tommy Lloyd's going to be judged. Tommy Lloyd's this team has to be able to play good basketball. Not only does it have to be able to play good basketball, you got to go out there and you got to show everybody that, the team that you saw that played against Duke or the team that played against, some of these other teams is that real team. And it's not the team that played against Oregon or SC. Maybe, like I said, this is a good thing because it didn't really mean anything with Arizona winning the Pac-12 in the past as far as Arizona, performing well in the NCAA tournament. So hopefully there isn't really any kind of correlation towards that. But the NCAA, but like I said, Selection Sunday is almost, Selection Show is almost here, and we're going to be breaking that down all week. Everything you need to know about Arizona, who they're going to be playing, and everything. This is the one spot to be for all of that, all the bracket breakdowns, everything you need to know and more. But as always, thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. And again, this is the time of the year where everybody will be judged. Everybody will be judged, and we are going to be here along the ride for anybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow, breaking down everything you need to know about the University of Arizona in the NCAA tournament.